Hello and welcome to the Nashville Daily Podcast. I'm Stuart Deming.
And I'm Aaron Pennington.
Existing electric car battery plants in Tennessee announce expansion.
Middle Tennessee's most luxurious resort opens up in Franklin.
Plus, with new reports released from the state of Tennessee, they are projecting commute times would increase by 60%. We'll break down the heaviest areas affected by Nashville's growth.
We'll talk about all of this and more on Nashville Daily. A lot of talk about what's going on the roads today, and some of those roads will lead to a nice luxury resort that just opened up in Franklin. But if you're not into that, if you're into making a little luxurious resort of your own and having your own home, and if you're in the process of looking for that, make sure to call or text Brad Reynolds here in Nashville. He can get you where you need to be. You can go to thinkbrad.com to learn more. Call or text Brad at 615-856-3270. If you're thinking Nashville, think Brad.
All right, so there's this huge factory being built in Spring Hill, Tennessee, and it looks like they just green-lighted another $275 million expansion. This factory has not even opened yet, and here's a photo of it from the Nashville Business Journal of the size of this factory.
Wow.
This is a car battery factory for GM, General Motors, and they just...
For electric vehicles.
For their electric vehicles, yes. They just announced another $275 million investment. This is a huge facility.
So the lithium-ion batteries assembled there will power General Motors electric cars, such as their Cadillac Lyriq SUV, which is rolling off the production facility line right now. This ranks as the third largest business investment in Tennessee history. The extra $275 million with there. GM and LG Energy first unveiled their Ultium. I think I'm saying that right. Ultium Cells factory in April 2021 at a price tag topping $2.3
billion
and a promised 1,300 jobs.
Dang.
And of course, the other two projects are
the
electric
Ford
vehicle battery related as well.
Yeah, so the Ford campus at $5.6 billion, and then the newly announced $3.2 billion LG Chem plant up in Clarksville.
Yeah, so a lot of cool stuff there. Also, looks like 1,700 jobs is now what's on the table there when fully operational, including the additional 400 positions that were formally announced in that $275 million announcement.
All right, if you are coming to Nashville and you want to stay outside of the city limits in a very beautiful area called Franklin, Tennessee, it's one of the wealthiest areas in the United States. They just opened a brand new resort down there that's a luxury resort. This is called Southall. Here's an image of it from the Nashville Business Journal. This is over a 300-acre campus. They grow their own food there on their gardens. They have a spa there. It's absolutely beautiful. Aaron and I had the opportunity to visit before it opened, and it is amazing. I'm excited to see what and who is going to stay there.
Yeah, so let's scroll through some of the images of this place because within these 325 acres, they have a 62-room inn.
Okay.
16 cottages.
16 cottages.
A 15,000 square foot spa. They have an event space on the property.
They have a lake on the property.
It's a 7-acre lake.
Look at this. They have all of their orchards and vineyards there. This is amazing.
They have 2 dining options and a 1,300 tree apple orchard.
Look at it. So there's a walk-in shower. There's a bathtub.
Yeah, it's incredible. They have a hydroponic and traditional greenhouse and a plethora of activities for guests.
I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. So pretty much it's expensive.
Yeah, it's $800. What is it? $800 a night minimum.
Starting at $839 per night.
So that's a mortgage in some areas of Nashville.
That's for they're probably their minimum.
Oh,
Which
yeah. It goes up to...
their sizes start at less than 500 square feet. And then they go up to 1529.
Do you think it's so? You've heard of Blackberry Farms, and I've told you, I think, here on the podcast about Blackberry Farms in
Yes.
Tennessee, and there's a Blackberry Mountain. Do you think it's going to have the amount of people that know about that? I think it will. I think it's going to take 4 or 5 years.
It's going to take time
to happen.
BlackBerry has a name. They've made a name for
presence,
themselves.
Yeah, but I think Southall would be one of those names in the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I think so as well. So let us know. If you end up staying there, take some photos and videos and let us know how the experience was. All right, let's head over to Explorer's Nashville Tip of the Day.
For Explorer's Nashville Tip of the Day, it's a great day to learn about some Nashville history. There's a huge thing that happened in the late 1800s called the Centennial Exposition, and the best place to learn about that is visiting the Parthenon. Yes, Nashville has a full-scale replica of the Parthenon from Athens, Greece.
One would argue the only
full-scale
full-scale, not even replica, the only full-scale Parthenon.
Yeah, because the one in Athens is kind of torn down or other things happen to it. But inside of the Parthenon, there's a little art exhibit. There is an exhibit on how the park was built, and there is over a 40-foot statue of the Greek god Athena. It's about $10 per person. Goddess. It's about $10 per person, and it is a great Nashville attraction.
Yeah. So if you go there, hopefully it's not too bad outside. Hopefully the rain has let up just a little bit, but if not, like Stuart said, that indoor place inside of the Parthenon is definitely a good attraction. If you go there and you're looking for it, it's on the backside of the Parthenon. Depending on which way you're coming in, a lot of people miss it and don't even know it's there.
Yeah.
But it's on
that's where the restrooms
backside.
are in the park as well.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for restrooms, it's on the backside.
Yeah, there you go. So go visit the Parthenon. That is Explorer's Nashville Tip of the Day.
Today's episode of Nashville Daily is in part brought to you by Blessed Day Coffee. They are a local coffee roaster. You can use the code EXPLOREXPLR20 to take 20% off your checkout at blesseddaycoffee.com. They also offer free delivery for the Middle Tennessee area. The last few days it's been raining and we haven't really experienced a Tennessee sunrise recently, but we've partnered with them and this is one of our blends. This is the Tennessee Sunrise Blonde Roast, and hopefully we have a good sunrise here that you can enjoy a cup of coffee and a Tennessee sunrise. And we also have another blend with them, and that is the Nash Espresso Roast. So we have a light roast and an espresso roast. These are both fantastic.
So make sure you use that discount. Head over to blesseddaycoffee.com right now. All right. So yesterday, if you did not watch yesterday's episode, we showed a video and we talked a little bit about the overview of Tennessee's plan to spend $26
billion
into relieving the current and expected congestion in Tennessee's roadways. And yes, that does include the cities, Nashville, Chattanooga, Knoxville, Memphis. Middle Tennessee as a whole is kind of its own classification because it's not just happening in Nashville. Also, there's some other areas in the Pigeon Forge, Sevierville area that they're addressing as well. They really are going statewide to address congestion based on future growth and trends and what we're seeing. And it's $26 billion is just to keep up with the expected growth and current congestion. So yesterday we talked a little bit about that overview. The video showed a little bit of what TDOT's planning to do in their restructuring, their public-private partnerships, choice lanes. But today we're going to zoom into their analysis of Nashville and see where are the problem areas, what are the expected commute times right now, what kind of blockage are we seeing, and then what might be expected for the future in that area. because there's a lot of problem areas in Nashville, and but the state has identified them all and what they hope to do, and we'll see some renderings of some expected fixes for some of these areas.
Yeah, so first thing we need to highlight is some of the data that we're going over is from years previous, not the current situation. One of the blocks on this page that we're about to show is from 2019, and the orange block on the page, if you're watching on our YouTube channel, is from, from 2016 to
2019.
So these are multi-year studies on the area. We're going to show 12 pages. We're not going to go into all of the details. If you want to dive deep into this, there's 93 pages, and it also has pages on the breakdown of the estimated costs for these things. But we just want to show this first, just so you get an idea of what we're about to talk about over the next few minutes, and then we're going to show some of the renderings of some of the changes that are going to happen. This is page 8 of 93, and this is Briley Parkway. It sees approximately, this is 2019, you have to keep in mind, so there's definitely been an increase in 2022 traffic. And that's due because of the airport. The airport is a mess right now. I passed the airport yesterday morning around 8:30 in the morning, and there was a line going into the airport that basically had traffic stopped to Briley Parkway.
Ooh.
So it's a whole different experience today. So this data is coming from 2019. On average, Briley Parkway sees approximately 65,000 vehicles daily, with its highest volumes observed just north of Lebanon Pike, so right where that changes into 40. Approximately 9% of traffic along the corridor is commercial vehicles.
All right, so let's look at the trends. In the past 3 years, the largest deterioration in the AM and PM peak congestion was seen just east of I-24, where traffic speeds have decreased 40% during those peak hours.
So on average, there's nearly 630 bottlenecks occur on Briley Parkway in a 5-month span. The most significant bottleneck on the corridor occurs south of I-40 for northbound travel. On average, the bottleneck occurs daily, affects 1.8 miles of roadway, and takes approximately 57 minutes to clear.
Yeah, that's a long time.
And then they have a little more. They have a little bit more breakdown here, and this is on almost every area in Nashville. So this is very detailed. Good for whoever did this type of study and research. They worked on this for a long time. But they have at a glance AM congestion. The average peak speed is 53 miles an hour. The lowest speed in the AM is 34 miles per hour. PM, the average speed is 51 miles an hour. The lowest speed is 20 miles per hour. Then it gives you a breakdown of the bottlenecks. And then it talks about how many bus riders go on this lane every single month. There's about 8,859 bus riders there's no bus riders that go on Briley Parkway per month. There's no bike lanes or there's no pedestrian levels.
Areas. Yeah, and we're not going to go through all of these stats for every single road.
We're just going to talk about the average volume.
Yeah, so let's go to Charlotte Pike. And Charlotte Pike has major problems in one area in particular, and that is essentially leaving the inner loop of downtown Nashville into where the lanes expand past Briley Parkway. So that's where we see a lot of the congestion from Charlotte Pike. So let's take a look at what is occurring here on Charlotte Pike. So on average, vehicles are traveling at 33 miles an hour during the morning peak. Slowest traffic occurs west of the inner loop. So, you're right, just outside of that inner loop, probably going both ways. Stoplights there are a pain in the butt.
And they're not timed correctly.
No, they are timed horribly.
So there's over 400 bottlenecks occur on Charlotte Pike in a 5-month span. The most significant, as Aaron mentioned, is on the corridor occurs near I-40.
Yeah, so and also in between where 40, 440, and 65 are located. Slowest traffic occurs at the inner loop where vehicles are traveling at 17 miles an hour. At this location, AM and PM peak hour travel speeds have decreased in the past 3 years by 16% and 13% respectively.
Wow, that's crazy. What's the next page that we're going to, Aaron?
So let's go to next and take a look at page 15, which is Franklin Road or Franklin Pike, depending on what you call it.
It has like 6 names in between now and then. So Franklin Road, this is technically Franklin Road is going to be south of Franklin Pike. No, Franklin Pike is south of Franklin Road. It converts into different names.
Yeah. So the area that it's giving is essentially south of 440.
Yes. So basically from Woodmont Boulevard all the way down to McHetcher in Franklin. On average, this sees about 20,000 vehicles a day, with the approximately 11% of traffic along the corridor is commercial vehicles.
So in the past 3 years, the largest deterioration in AM congestion was observed just south of Moore's Lane, where traffic speeds have decreased by 10% in the past 3 years.
Wow.
If you think about that, and that was before the pandemic, we know things have gotten worse. So if things are, decreasing every 3 years by 10%.
So it'd be 20% now, hypothetically?
It could be 20% now.
Or more.
And then we could be looking at, this is one of those places. This is interesting as well. During the PM peak, the most significant deterioration in congestion was observed near Woodmont Boulevard and Thompson Lane, where speeds have decreased approximately 20%.
And that's
over the past 3 years. That's 2016 to 2019. Probably worse now. Could be, could be 40% of a speed decrease now in 2022. Could be 60%. 60%
by 2040.
And this trend, 2025.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, what's the next page we're going to, Aaron?
Oh, okay. So right now, let's go to page 19, which is Harding Place. And you'll notice a lot of patterns are south and east of Nashville for a lot of this.
All right, so here's a little map of Harding Place. So basically, it's south of Nashville. They see approximately 26,700 vehicles a day. 12% of that is commercial vehicles.
Ooh.
And in the past 3 years, AM peak speeds along the corridor have decreased by nearly 7%, while PM peak hour speeds have decreased by 8%. This was 2016 to 19. Remember that. I'm going to say it's decreased by more like by 20% now. It is so
this is
bad.
This is crazy. On average, during the PM congestion, this is on average. This is not, let's take the lowest number. On average, for the lowest speeds in the PM congestion is 8 miles an hour.
That's crazy.
Oh, my gosh.
It's so bad right now.
1.8 miles of congestion to clear every single day, and it usually takes 28 minutes approximately to clear that.
All right, so I think the next we're going to is interstates, and we're going to highlight
let's go to
for a second.
The Autobahn.
So this is I-24. This is page 24. They make it. You get it? I-24.
I wonder if they did that. It makes you wonder if they did that on purpose.
Of 93 pages.
Imagine if they were on 23. They're like, you know what? If we just added like one more cover page,
we
could make I-24 be on page 24.
There is a cover page that's completely blank, and they probably did that intentionally.
I guarantee you.
Good for them. So this is, as you remember, after 2019. So this is the I-24 corridor that they're talking about, basically down to Murfreesboro, past 840. And on average, this sees 138,000 vehicles a day, with 18% of that being commercial vehicles.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so here's where it gets real bad. In the past 3 years, AM peak hour speeds along the corridor have decreased by 4%. That's not terrible, with the largest deterioration seen for westbound traffic just south of the I-440 merge. Peak hour speeds at this location have decreased by 46%.
Kind of makes me want to throw up.
PM peak hour speeds have deteriorated by 8% across the corridor, with the large decrease observed between the I-440, I-24, I-440 merge, and the inner loop. Peak hour speeds at this location have decreased by 42%. Traveling along the interstate, we are seeing, where are those numbers of miles per hour? They don't have.
Right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They changed it up a little bit.
During your PM congestion, your average lowest speed is 9 miles an hour.
That feels about right.
And AM, it's 10.
That feels
peak average speed 32. You're going for AM and PM. On average, you're going 32 miles an hour.
That's
on
half
a
of what the speed limit is.
70 mile an hour interstate.
Yeah, but it changes that part at 55, so you have to keep that in mind too. All right, so now we're going to look at the westbound lane. So this is basically north of the downtown inner loop. On average, this is basically going up to Clarksville now. 97,000 vehicles a day with only 19%. Actually, that's high. 19% of its commercial vehicles.
Jeez.
And that's all the distribution plants between Clarksville and Nashville.
Oh, my gosh. Let's see. Average speed, 58 miles an hour. So double, a lot better. Still not great, but a lot
over
better.
1,500 bottlenecks, and that happens down towards.
Let's say what did it say for I-24? 3,800 bottlenecks.
Oh, that's a whole different thing.
For I-24 east.
Wow.
Jeez.
All right, so let's go to I-40 east. So this is going into the inner loop from basically Mount Juliet in the Lebanon area. On average, 100,001 vehicles a day, with only 15% being commercial vehicles.
Still, 3,200 bottlenecks in there. I'm excited to get to the inner loop to see how many commercial vehicles are on the inner loop.
It's going to be a lot.
It's right. Going to be insane.
We're going to look at I-40 West now. Average is 96,000 vehicles, with 17% being commercial vehicles. And then this is going to be west of the inner loop.
Only 930 bottlenecks.
That's not terrible.
Not terrible compared
Lowest
to
speed, and the PM is 15 miles an hour.
Compared to I-40 east of 3,200 bottlenecks, 930. West side of town is where it's at.
And this is interesting how they have this major bottleneck breakdown. It happens thrice weekly. That's a tongue twister. All right.
They're probably like, hey, special circumstance. How do we do this? It only happens about 3 times a week. They're like, thrice weekly.
Okay, so now we're talking about I-65 north. This is from Sumner County to Davison County border. This sees approximately 139,000 vehicles a day. It's probably a little bit more than that since 2019. Approximately 16% of its commercial vehicles. I was expecting that to be a lot more than 16%.
I was too. All right, so let's take a look at 880 bottlenecks there. Major bottlenecks happen multiple times daily. This is one of those routes, especially once you're in the just a little bit south of that, in that inner loop, where this is one of those places where it almost does not matter what time of the day you're going. This is slow. It's more in the inner loop than this portion. But your average speed's about 58, 53 miles an hour, depending on the time of day, which is not terrible compared to I-24. But I-24 makes everything else seem fantastic.
Yes.
But everything else is not fantastic. I-24 just makes it seem that way.
Yeah, so what's really interesting about this one is I believe these studies were conducted before the construction of the 3 lanes past the Veterans Boulevard or whatever that corridor is that goes into Sumner County. So it's interesting because it's gotten so much worse recently.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about I-65 South. This goes down to Williamson County. Or a little bit past it. On average, this sees 135,000 vehicles a day, and 11% is commercial vehicles.
All right. So let's do I-440 just for fun. I-440 serves 112,300 vehicles daily. 8% is commercial vehicle. I will say, thank God they redid I-440.
It would have been so
terrible. I-440 is so much of a better experience now.
Yep. And most of this study was conducted when it was under construction.
Yeah. Personally, where I see a lot of bottlenecks now is kind of when you're going towards that I-24, I-40, I-440 area, passing 65, and going towards the I-24 area.
All right, so we have a few more pages that we wanted to cover on this. Aaron, what was the next
let's find the inner loop,
here we are,
which is page 32.
All right, so on average, the inner loop. So if you don't know what the inner loop is, it's where all the interstates come together in downtown Nashville. On average, this sees 126,000 vehicles a day, and this is very low. I thought this was going to be a lot higher. Approximately 13% of traffic along the corridor is commercial vehicles.
There's no way.
It has to be closer to 35%. 25%. It really does.
There's no way. All right, so let's see. Congestion trends here. The past 3 years. So again, keep in mind this is 2016 to 2019. The traffic speeds decreased by 27% during the AM peak in the past 3 years.
That's not terrible.
2016 to 2019. Compared to some of these, none of them are great. But we have I-440 to take all the records. The largest decrease was seen on the west side in the PM peak.
Right off of Charlotte Avenue.
Yeah, the west side of the inner loop near Charlotte, where traffic speeds have decreased by 46%.
And now it's probably
during
70.
the PM
it's now close
peak.
to 70%.
It's pretty dang bad. Over 1,800 bottlenecks occurred on the inner loop in a 5-month span. The most significant bottleneck on the corridor occurs more than twice per day on the south side of the inner loop between 2nd and 4th Avenues. On average, the bottleneck affects 3.5 miles of roadway. 3.5 miles. That's one of the longest so far.
So I just want to, we're going to transition now. So if you want to get deep into this, it dives deep, but we're going to talk about the cost of what it would take to fix 2nd Avenue and 4th Avenue. Let me scroll down to, I think it's like page 55.
Yeah, it's way down there.
It was a very hefty cost. They're estimated to spend $7 billion in Middle Tennessee, or in just this Middle Tennessee area, to fix congestion. And this is the inner loop, and this really stood out to me because this was the highest number. So the 2nd Avenue to 4th Avenue reconfiguration is going to cost over $2 billion, which is insane.
Oh my gosh!
And
all right,
it's a mess. And if you know exactly where I'm talking about, it's where the 3 interstates come together.
It's so bad.
It's so bad.
Like,
and I say it every single day I drive it because I've been driving it every single day recently, and I'm like, this is the worst area of Nashville.
Yeah,
which there's some really bad areas of Nashville, but.
So let's look at something that's also interesting on this PDF, and that is. I think it's in 2 places. One is Lebanon Pike, and the other one, is I can't remember the other one. But essentially, the renderings,
Thompson Lane,
and Nolensville.
Yes.
There are a lot of renderings on here that we're going to skip past. We're going to look at one in particular that really caught our eye, and that is how some of these intersections are going to be handled. Essentially, what is going to happen is at these intersections. So, for example, Nolensville and Thompson Lane, what's going to happen is for the stoplight portion of this, if you need to turn onto a different lane, if you need to turn on from Nolensville to Thompson, you will have to essentially get into the middle of the lane and go on a raised new road that will then allow you to turn, and then you merge onto Thompson if you're turning left or right. If you are going straight through from Thompson to Thompson, Nolensville to Nolensville, I believe this is the way it's structured, you will then just continue right underneath
that bypass or
the raised turning area. So we have a few renderings that'll show that.
So this rendering right here, it doesn't give much details. You're like, what is happening? Like, what are these middle things are? And then if you scroll down the page, it breaks it down a little bit more, and it shows you this example of this rendering. Let me zoom in on this. And so this is if you're turning onto that different lane. So it's going to have all of these different red light systems. It's going to be this elevated area where they take away that median.
They should have made it like an elevated roundabout.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been a lot better.
That would be so much more efficient. I like how it has a fire truck and a little like Coca-Cola truck there.
Yeah.
But this, Department of Virginia.
That
makes sense. But this is if you want to get more into the weeds of this is what this looks like with like the raised elevated bridge.
Yeah. So again, this is 93 pages. We went through like 15 pages of this to highlight the congested areas, and a lot of the cost of projects and what they're going to be doing to fix it are in this PDF as well. So have fun, scroll through here, see how much money is being spent on this. Do you think it will solve the problem?
No, I do not.
Ooh.
I think it's going to increase dramatically, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow or on Monday. I mean.
All right, we will see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. for listening to Nashville Daily.
To learn more about today's episode, visit NashvilleDailyPodcast.com. And to stay connected, head to our Discord and you can find the link at NashvilleDailyPodcast.com/connect. Nashville Daily is now offering tours. If you would like to take a tour of downtown Nashville, head to the link in the show notes or find out more details at NashvilleDailyPodcast.com.
Nashville Daily Podcast is an Explore.Nash production, copyright 2022.